Ethan, let's go over your paper. As you can see, you did a good job on the paper. You got a 30 out of 35 points. This has changed a little bit. I gave it a second look and I saw some capitalization errors. So that's the main change. No punctuation errors. Your works cited page looks good. All your sources look like you used all the information available to you, and you did a good job on your clinchers. Let's go over some of the things that we can go through and make some changes here. Right here, this WASP block 3. This was the capitalization error. These should all be uppercase. And I looked back at your source material and I see that they capitalized here this WASP 3. So I'm assuming it needs to be capitalized. So always go with your source on the capitalization if you're unsure. And I also noticed you used this WASP block 3, used it back here at your ending sentence, so you did a good job in cinching these together with your clinchers. All of your dress ups were good in that paragraph. Right here, the Predator Unmanned Aerial Vehicle UAV who is for people, and since this is a thing, we would have used which. So just kind of keep that in mind when we're using a who. We're talking about a person. A which is for a non-person. The Predator Unmanned Aerial Vehicle, which was in the Smithsonian's top 10 aircraft magazine because it is the most powerful, is the most combat-proven UAV in the world. This sentence right here, and I know it's a long sentence, but all the way to here, this is a fragment. And this sometimes happens as students are learning to use that who which. Wherever we start the who which, you have to go all the way to the end of it. So let's look what your who which was. Which was in the Smithsonian's top 10 aircraft magazines because it's the most powerful combat proven UAV in the world. Okay, so that is your who which clause. Okay, so then we should be able to say the sentence without that who which clause and it still be a complete sentence. The Predator Unmanned Aerial Vehicle. We don't have a verb. So right here we have our subject noun, and here you have the adjectives and an article adjective, but no verb. And sometimes when students are learning to use the who which, this is what they do. So just be aware of this. I think I've already marked you off for that. But check your who whiches and your other clauses and make sure that they can be removed and still have a subject noun verb for your sentence. Let's go down. Again, you did a good job on your clinchers. I don't know if I can put both of them on the screen at once, but the Predator Unmanned Aerial Vehicle, which was that first sentence, and your last sentence, you used proven predator again. Oh, and combat. And so you use 3 words from your first sentence and you tied the beginning and ending of that paragraph together with clinchers. Paragraph 3, the only thing I found here was this should be capitalized. Looking back at your source, they have it capitalized. And so if your source has it capitalized, then you need to capitalize it. And 3 lines under something means it needs to be capitalized. Oh, this other one. Let's see. This other who which. Starting here. The Predator has a max altitude of 25,000 feet and has an endurance time of 40 hours while all the cameras and payload it can carry. This, I gave you partial credit on this one also because it doesn't make sense to me. While all the camera and payload it can carry are loaded, we still need something after this. The Predator has a maximum altitude of 25,000 feet and has an endurance time of 40 hours, while all the cameras and payload it can carry. Sorry. Um, Maybe you meant with and you tried to switch it to while with all the cameras and payload it can carry, and it didn't work for that who which clause. I mean that www.asia clause. It really needed to be a prepositional phrase. So I gave you partial credit for that one also. Otherwise, it looks really nice. Nice formatting. You've got the full double space. You have your MLA heading. You have your running head. You have 3 good body paragraphs. And now we're going to work on your introduction and your conclusions. And a lot of times people want to start with their introduction, but you cannot start with an introduction because you can't introduce the topics until you've written them. So you have to know what you're going to write. And an introduction paragraph looks like this. And then our body paragraphs are our squares. And then our conclusion paragraph looks like this. So this is our intro. And I'll tell you what I mean by it in a minute. And this is our conclusion. And so our intro is going to start very general, and it's going to narrow down to being very specific. And the conclusion does exactly the opposite. It starts out very specific, and it widens to something very general. And usually the last sentence of our intro that's very specific is what we call our thesis statement. And our thesis statement is a statement telling the reader what our 3 body paragraphs are. And to make it simplistic, you could say this paper will discuss, and your 3 topics are the WASP 3. Whoops, I put a WASP 4. The WASP 3, comma, the predator. I'm just going to put ... and the MQ9 Reaper. And that is what a thesis sentence is. A thesis sentence is like a sign that tells you what's coming. Like when you're driving down the interstate and you see next exit, Fort Smith. That's what this is. Your thesis statement is a big sign to your reader saying next 3 paragraphs are going to be about this. And our conclusion does exactly the opposite. You're going to talk about what you just put in your body paragraph. And although we say this paper we'll discuss, we don't really want to word it that way, but that's the concept. And the same with the conclusion. You would say this paper discussed. And we're not going to use these exact words. And we'll put the first body paragraph, the second body paragraph, and the third body paragraph. So that's how we write our intro and our conclusion. We go from general to specific, and from specific to general for a conclusion. And when we do something general, you're just trying to lead the readers into the paper. And later on, we're going to learn some decorations, which are techniques for creating a hook. And a hook is when you get your readers into a paper. And for this paper, you could just say, imagine warfare with no ground troops. Let me go ahead and type. I can type faster than I can write. And so for our intro here, I don't want it to be on italics, but I will do it in red. Imagine warfare with no ground troops. That might be possible in the near future with the new technologies that are being developed and used by the military. And so what I'm trying to do is start out really broad. warfare with no ground troops, and then start narrowing it down. This could be possible. And keep narrowing your topic down until you get to those 3 body paragraphs. This might be possible in the near future with new technologies that are being developed and used by the military. With technology comes the ability to know what to know where, let me see, what the enemy is planning. There are 3 currently used drones that are bringing the future to us. We can't YouTube bringing the future, that are bringing the future of the future without ground, and it might be surveillance. I don't know how to spell surveillance though. Surveillance. I got close, it looks like. Without ground, there are 3 currently used drones that are bringing the future without ground surveillance to our present front lines. The WASP 3, the UAV, and of course you would spell these out because it's the first time you've seen them, and the MQ9 Reaper are the future of surveillance. And I'm not sure if that's right or not, because I don't know. I've read what your essay has, but I haven't researched it as extensively as you have. But what we want to do is we want to end with the WASP-3, the UAV, and the MQ-9 Reaper. And so this is what we would call our thesis statement, because it's telling our reader, our first paragraph is going to be about the WASP-3, the UAV is going to be about, the second paragraph is about the UAV, and the third paragraph is about the MQ-9 Reaper. So you're looking to give the reader a heads up, a sign. And you might want to develop what a drone is a little bit more in here. Imagine warfare with no ground troops. And maybe imagine warfare with no ground troops having to go into hostile territory. And machines doing this risky job for us. So kind of lead the reader into your topic, and I know you've researched it a lot more than I have, and so you'll be able to do a better job with the intro. So this would be our intro. Now the conclusion, and you can see I went general to specific. Let me change the color here for the conclusion. The conclusion is going to do exactly the opposite. So we could say the WASP-3, the UAV, and the MQ-9 Reaper are important advancements in warfare. Okay, so this is be the start of my conclusion. So I'm very specific, and I just told the reader, you just read about the WASP-3, the UAV, and the MQ-9 Reaper. And then you're going to go out broader. These drones, along with other technologies, are helping the United States win the war against terrorists. And remember, I am just making this all up out the top of my head. You've done the research, so you're going to have to actually make it make sense. These drones, along with other technologies, are helping the United States win the war against terrorists. So I want to go further out from drones and technology. So we're going from those 3 specific drones to drones and other technologies. With advancements in military operations, more, or how about less casualties will be involved as the United States is called to police the world in order to secure liberty in our homeland. And again, I'm just making it up. So I went from our 3 drones to the drones and other technologies, to advancements in military operations, and to liberty. So I went further and further out. And that's what you want to do. And then you kind of want to maybe have a call to action or just a final summing up sentence that is very, very broad. Wars will soon be fought with technology rather than men on the ground. And I don't know if that's true or not. But so now I went to how wars are fought. So that's how we're going to write our introductions and our conclusions. With our introduction, we start out very general, go to specific. With our conclusion, we start out specific and go to general. And so that's what I want you to do. I want you to come up with a good intro and a good conclusion. You won't have to make it up because you've done the research. Go ahead and put those dress ups in your intro and your conclusion. If you can, figure out a clincher. Sometimes it's hard to do clinchers in the intro and conclusion because we need to end with our thesis and our intro, and we need to kind of restate our thesis to start our conclusion. So it's kind of hard to do the clincher technique except for body paragraphs. Okay, that's your assignment, to write that intro and conclusion, and that's the end of the video.